Dick and Boonies Podcast. Richard, come together again. We're all about the liquor and the tasty gems. We would like to invite you in the silly minds we live in. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
Welcome to another episode of the Dick and Boonies Podcast.
What's up, y'all?
I'm Richard, Dick,
Cam, Boonies.
and today we have a very special guest. He is the lead singer of the band Jimmy Eat World. His name's Jim Adkins. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how's it going?
Man,
Thanks for having me over.
thanks for coming. You came all the way and you're in person. I feel very honored to have you here.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're not that far down the street from me. So.
Oh, that's true. You know what's crazy? I'll tell you straight up. The very first thing, I've met you 2 times. One time was at a show, and you graciously gave us backstage passes because we knew you through family. The second time, I moved you from Phoenix to Mesa. I was part of the crew, 2 Men in the Truck crew.
Oh, yeah.
Was Phoenix to Mesa?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a minute where I moved to Mesa.
Yeah. Were you not there long? It was a gorgeous house.
Like a year.
Really?
Yeah.
It was beautiful. It's a beautiful house.
Yeah, it was nice.
The thing that I thought was
The Mesa times were nice.
You know, the thing that was really cool was you had a platinum record and a gold record like on the floor, and you're like, yeah, I was like, can we move these? And you're like, yeah, dude, that's what you're here for. I just was like, oh my god. I was wrapping it and I put it in a thing and I was like, okay, we're gonna get it
We're
there
gonna
safe.
get these. Yeah,
That was cool.
yeah, that's huge.
So
What's up, Jim?
oh man,
Just enjoying the hoodie weather all of a sudden.
It's great.
It's great.
It's what we wait for.
Everyone just gets nicer to each other when it cools off like this. It's you know,
It's so true.
it's great.
Everything smells better outside. It's weird. I don't know. It's not spring, but you know.
No, it just feels.
Yeah,
There's like that 48 hours of fall that we have here, and then it's cold.
yeah,
At Halloween, it's like, you know,
it was hot this
Yeah.
Halloween. It felt like.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not exact. It's sort of farmer's almanac kind of
Right.
thing. Like some years it's before Halloween, some of the years it's after, but usually right around it's like we got our 48 hours of transition weather, and then it's like, you know, hoodie time.
Yeah.
I feel like it was a lot colder when we were younger. Is that true? Do you agree?
Maybe I remember more snow happening when I was younger.
Yeah. Where are you originally from? Where were you born?
Kansas,
Were you really?
yeah.
Oh,
I grew up in Mesa though,
right.
like
So when
K
did you?
through 12 in
You
Mesa.
came out here. Yeah.
Okay,
Nice.
when did you move out here?
Preschool.
Preschool.
Time, so I was like 5, I think.
Nice. Okay, so can you take us a little bit through? This could be a very long thing, but you could just take us quickly through sort of like the origin of how you got into music, how you guys sort of connected as the band, that kind of thing. If there's anything you want to add to it, whatever. Because I Wikipedia'd you. Wikipedia'd.
You wikied me?
Yeah, I don't.
Wiki.
I don't like to do
Yeah.
that because I don't really feel like it offers much. It's kind of a generic painting, and
Anyone can
sometimes-
change that.
Yeah.
I forget what I was watching when someone's like, I changed this person's height every week on Wikipedia and it pisses them off.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. You can
For a
change
while,
it. Yeah.
for a while, our other guitar player was a Korean war vet.
No.
which is impossible.
By your hand?
No,
Just-
no, because he was 20 at the time. It was sort of impossible.
Yeah. So I didn't know you could just. What do you mean you could change it?
Anyone can change Wikipedia anytime.
It's like
It's open to the public.
a crowd researched thing.
Yeah. Like I could go on and say Jim Adkins is 7 feet tall and people will be like, holy fuck,
Then
really?
then why do people go there for information?
Because
It's easy. It's the easy one. It's
Easy, and you know who's going to really take the time to, you know, go in and
And mess with it?
yeah,
yeah, and it's the
Well-
first, and they pay for it to be the first thing you see. You right? Like
Is that like-
it's
is that
product
the movie
research or product placement. Like Wikipedia
It's a
is
heavy mic.
Wikipedia is the first thing that shows up.
It usually is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then people can just change it at their own volition or whatever.
I didn't know that. So, so take us through a little bit of the beginning of your story.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Mesa.
Right.
And got into playing guitar. Well, I got into playing piano first. You know, my parents made us take piano lessons, me and my brother, and you know, it was good. It was fine. But around second grade, I think I started wanting to learn how to play guitar. My dad played guitar, and so there was always like a guitar around the house, and you know, like that was right around like the birth of MTV.
Yeah.
And I was just, you know, enthralled by the wacky like videos, like the
Dire Straits video.
yeah, but like, I mean, it was kind of, all the super theatrical,
White Zombies music videos and shit like that.
or like the Scorpion, like Rock You Like a Hurricane, where they're in the Thunderdome kind of battle area. Yeah. It's just, you know,
it was really a perfect thing, and it was like, oh, I want to do that.
It's sort
for
of
sure.
It's sort of like enhanced cartoon character versions of like, you know, like like a real version of Guitar Hero type looking people.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I'm like, oh, that looks so rad. I want to do that.
And you had guitars already around. Your dad was
Yeah.
playing.
So I started, you know, kind of learning how to play guitar that way. And it just, I was fortunate that I had instructors who were really good and, you know, encouraging.
Right.
So that like, because it's really difficult. I mean, the awkwardness of like learning to play something like guitar, it really is like, you got to either really want to do it or
you won't,
or have someone who's encouraging you and making it fun, because it takes, the real reward comes after you've kind of gotten over the just awkwardness and the physicality of
and getting through that is tough.
Making
like you have to go
sound.
through the gauntlet of doing that.
You
like the finger, it hurts, and it takes a lot of your time, and it's discipline and just focusing on.
it takes a lot of time. So if you're not really wanting to, or you're not progressing, you're not going to stick with it. But I had instructors that were encouraging and made it fun, so that when I got to the point where I had crossed over in that technicality a little bit, then I was ready to like learn things.
Yeah.
And I was really into it.
Were your instructors cool too?
Yeah.
That to me, anytime.
Yeah, they made it fun. It was cool.
Exactly.
No, yeah, totally.
I only learned, especially as a young guy, if they were cool, I learned. I don't know if there was too much.
That's everying.
I mean, you could have structure.
Slapping your hand with the ruler. I mean,
Their fingers are arching.
Yeah.
I mean, you started with piano, so did you get some of that? Like,
Did you have Mrs. Jelsma?
No.
She was my piano teacher, and she smelled like pennies. Do you know why? It was her vagina.
Pennies.
brutal?
She smelled disgusting. But you didn't have Mrs. Jelsma.
No.
Okay.
Patina?
She smelled like pennies. I don't know. And it was her vagina. My sister was like, yeah, it's her vagina. And I was like 6.
She confirmed that.
I was 6.
That's a really traumatizing thing to tell a 6-year-old.
She was 7.
Yeah.
My sister knew a lot early on. It was kind of crazy. So, go ahead, continue.
And to continue. Yeah. So maybe around like 7th grade. Yeah, maybe around 7th grade, I started getting together with our drummer, Zach.
Yeah.
Because I knew him from like I knew him from like school, like school, like junior high, and high school.
Hey, you play drums, I play guitar.
Basically, yeah.
Were you guys like in the school band?
No.
He wasn't as a drum. Really?
I think I think he did orchestra. I think he did like percussion and orchestra.
Oh, cool.
But
Played the timpani.
He wasn't doing
Involved
band.
a little bit.
And the
Yeah.
bass drum.
Yeah, and we would just goof around, and then I think somewhere around maybe like 10th grade, the idea of forming bands kind of became a thing.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of I wasn't in a band with him at first. it was sort of like we got together and played, but I kind of made friends with. I kind of got to be tighter with some other people at our school, and everybody. It wasn't like how it is now, where there's like Disney shows dedicated to like the storyline is a high school where everybody's in a band. Like it wasn't cool.
Right.
It wasn't.
No, it was
wasn't,
and it was a reach. It was like, okay, you play drums, I play guitar. You went ding, 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 and they went boom, 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 and you're like, we can do this together. I think, maybe that's how I played with my drummer the first time
and finding people that just kind of listen to the same music you do was huge.
That was everything. That's what's
It'd be like the dude who only plays Doors. only plays Doors, and then like don't you know any like punk stuff, man? Like what do you? I don't know. It was you found pretty quickly the other people that listened to the same music that you did that also played, because there wasn't that many of them.
So it wasn't cool to be in a band?
No.
That's interesting, because I think when we started a band, it was around the same time. We were like freshmen in high school, and it was cool. Like the second I got into the band, my value went way up.
Richard's stock went up huge.
Yeah.
It's interesting to
And it was
hear
Taylor who did that.
It's odd to hear.
Taylor
that.
was his wealth management.
Yeah.
It's so funny how all the high school bands have a manager who's another high school kid.
Yes.
Like, dude, I'll be your manager.
Totally
Dude.
had that.
Yeah.
Kyle Day.
Yeah.
Dom.
Yeah, and Dom.
They book you at any parties?
Yeah, but he was
course.
self-proclaimed.
Yeah.
They'll get you to play parties, which are great. That's fantastic. Those are the funnest, right?
So was your first band a punk band? Or just like
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I
What
guess
were the bands that got you guys going? What was the one where like, oh, you listen to that too? Like,
Yeah.
what were those?
It was a handful. It kind of shifted, like the sorts of, if I think back around that time, the like high school era where we started playing in bands together was kind of all over the place, man. It was like Jane's Addiction and Primus and but it was also like NoFX and Propaganda.
Right, the power chords.
Yeah, Face to Face.
Yeah,
But also-
face to face.
But also
Fuck
like,
yeah,
but
dude.
also like Superchunk and Rocket from the Crypt and all the a lot of San Diego stuff.
and
Really.
the guys that you were jamming with, they were all into that same kind of stuff.
Yeah, as it got closer to us forming the Jimmy Eat World band, it became like everyone's tastes kind of migrated more toward the I guess like the faster melodic punk stuff. Like yeah, like
the Op Ivy and the NoFX and
Yeah.
Face to Face and all that stuff.
yeah, things that were
Face-to-Face,
things that
I
were
love
more
them.
things that had more like guitar
Driven
harmonies,
Yeah.
melodies going on rather than just like pure abrasiveness. There was like a melodic element to it all,
Right.
and that's kind of what we all in the band kind of gravitated toward.
So what kind of shows were you doing? Just like house parties and
No, we didn't do too many house parties. We did a lot of like punk spaces.
like a roll up garage?
Yeah, that's like the
The roll
the
up garage.
basements of places. Yeah, totally. The what was that place? I don't even remember what it was called.
And the only reason I even know what
the
you're talking
places
about
your folks wouldn't let you go if they knew where you were going.
is just like a garage.
Those are the only
Yeah.
places that you could play because
Yeah.
in our somewhere around our we would play in bars sometimes. We would play in like real clubs, but then I think around our senior year in high school, like Arizona got more hardcore with like the liquor laws changed, and you couldn't be a venue. You either had to sell a certain amount of like receipts and food, or you had to have a partitioned off area for under 21.
Yeah.
Or
Yep.
or you couldn't do.
Remember when Boston's did that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
clubs
There
ended
was
up doing that.
I remember Bar with ID.
Nita's, Club Rio.
I remember Bar with ID happening for a while there. Like you just get are you drinking?
Yeah.
No, you're 16. Okay, you get a wristband.
So you go,
Yep.
you
Yeah,
go over here.
No, but you could just go anywhere you want with the wristband. There, you wouldn't get served.
Right.
But then they changed it and was like, no, you got to be in this corral.
Right.
And
Sometimes
that
they would
wasn't-
split the crowd,
Yeah,
like right down the
a
middle.
physical barrier for the undersection, and a lot of like smaller, like Hollywood Alley and a lot of those kind of places, like they couldn't make any money if they did that. So they
And
just
then when
went
the
full
headliner
bar.
went on,
Yeah, exactly.
everyone just went to the front. It didn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Or like what happened a lot would be like us, and then we get invited to be on a show. It'd be like us, and then our underage fans we'd be opening up for somebody that, and our underage fans would be right up at the front, and then
Dude.
we'd play it, we'd leave, like, and they would just leave.
Of course.
And it would be like the headliner playing to the bar staff, and like
100%.
that happened a lot too.
Yeah. Dude, we did that.
Yeah, that's very
our
reminiscent.
Hey man, like, yeah, stick around. They're cool, but like it's a school night.
Sell the
Exactly.
250 tickets.
Yeah, it's a school night, and none of our.
Yeah.
I mean, no 15-year-olds are hanging out. Like,
Right. And it was
Till
the
midnight.
kids whose folks thought that was all right for them to go to, which wasn't a lot of them.
So when did oh, and I wanted to go back to this because the only reason why I even said the roll up door is because my brother was in a band called Wellington. He was the drummer
Oh, yeah.
of Wellington with Ryan Butler.
Yeah.
And Ryan Butler's like a really close family friend of ours through church of all things, which is kind of not like our family's
Super Wellington.
big thing. They would, that was pretty much the only places that they would play. It was like a roll up place, a roll up door.
Yeah.
It would get really crazy. You could actually, touch the singer. It was all on the same floor, all the same level. I mean,
Yeah, it'd be like this room.
exactly. It was
It'd be like 100 kids in this room.
Yeah.
yeah.
And pack it with as many people as you can, and then it would just.
Yeah.
So when did it progress to the next level, and was how many years of that sort of happened? And I know because we had Larry Elia here last week, and because we were saying like, what are your favorite records you ever done? And Jimmy Eat World was the top of the list on that one.
Aw,
Yeah.
Larry.
It was.
Larry's a great guy, man.
He's so
Yeah,
great.
he is.
And he was so fun because we haven't seen him in years. But when did it sort of bump up to the sort of like the next level, and you started hanging out with Larry and recording? Like, when did recording happen?
That happened. It happened pretty early on.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. I mean, I had somewhere around maybe around 7th grade, I got really into doing 4-track recording with a
Cassette?
Yeah, cassette format 4-track.
I had one of those.
So we would like kind of do rough-ish demos that way, but yeah, we got hooked up with Larry like kind of early on, and we would do stuff with him. We did actually our first album was like a pretty insane stroke of luck. Like, so our drummer had a friend who was like the music pastor. I don't know, the music director at a church.
Right.
And he let us come in, and they had kind of a lot of gear. So we came in and recorded like 10 songs just direct to DAT. Like no mixing, just direct to DAT, just cut
Live.
it. Yeah, live, like on the stage, like at night. So it was like from like a 4-hour recording session, we basically cut like 10 songs or something live, and
That's awesome.
from that we made we went to what people would do back then is like you would make something like that or even less quality, and then you would go to like Price Club. At the time it was called Price Club or Costco.
Yeah.
And you would just buy a whole bunch of blank cassettes.
Oh god.
And then
And
go
just-
to Kinko's and make your art, and then you would sell that at your gig as like your demo.
Yeah.
And so we played one of our first like actual, it was our second gig that we did, and we just got done making all those things, and we ran into Steve Naughton, who ran Medical Records back in the day. You remember like what group did he put out? Oh my god.
Is Medical Records a
It was like I think he did a Horace Pinker thing, and I think he did a band called Six.
So
And
he's a
Mandingo,
producer?
Mandingo was one of the, I think, was a medical records thing. He was a promoter. He was a promoter, and he was a engineer, kind of producer person. And he was like, "Hey, these guys," and we gave him a cassette, and he's like, "Yeah, these guys are pretty good, man. Cool. I just had it's been a pretty decent month, but I had a metal band sort of cancel on me. You want to come down and record like next weekend?" And so we did, and we made our first like actual kind of record.
Oh wow.
That way.
Did you have to pay him?
I can't remember if we paid him or not, or if he just said, "Oh, it's cool, man."
He just needed like a catalog of bands, so
Well,
he could
that's-
say like, "I did this," or
No, I mean he had a good month, and he thought he liked what we were doing.
He
and
heard
Right.
it. And
Like, Gotcha.
Yeah.
somebody canceled, so he had time.
gotcha.
The crazy metal band canceled, and then
The crazy metal band broke up,
and then
so they had the studio time booked and couldn't refund the money. So
and so that
we
was
snuck
your
in there.
The drummer you have now was part of that.
yeah, we had a different bass player than maybe the first 8 months of our band,
Okay.
but
Mitch
everyone
Porter.
else- yes,
I Wikipedia'd that.
yeah, yeah. Mitch was our bass player for like the first 8 months, and then everyone else has been the same since.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Dude, that is fucking awesome.
There was this weird little graph in Wikipedia that like it would associate a color, so it'd say like lead vocals, and then it would be like Jim, and so the lead vocal line would go all the way through the timeline, but then there would be like a section where you started playing keyboards or something, and it would like it would.
I've never seen this visual aid.
Yeah, it's like a little graph, and I'm like, I see right there. That's where Jim started doing keyboards. It's like 2008.
The graph. You're pointing at it with a pen
Yes.
too. You're like,
I never did Wikipedia. I don't know about these things. So
so you've pretty much been jamming with the same people.
Yeah,
which is rad. I love
That's
that.
huge.
yeah, since junior high, basically.
Fucking, that's the shit, dude.
So, at what point did things change? Because I know you guys put out 3 records before things sort of like got really big for you guys, correct?
Yeah, really big. Yeah,
Right, because you were touring. I know. I saw you guys were touring, and you guys were sort of trialing around, going.
yeah. Things were kind of
Picking up.
rising on a not crazy level, and then it took a big jump when we did Bleed American.
Yeah.
And did
That
you have
one
some of that
crushed.
stuff? Where did you record that? Who'd you record that with? Was it? Did you already have those songs before and then you re-recorded it, or what? What was that whole process like? Because I was reading through some things, and I know that was sort of the pivotal moment. That's when you guys were on every radio. Especially like
Yeah.
Movies.
The Edge was.
Yeah.
You guys were just like nonstop being played at that point, and then you guys were just fucking rock stars at that point. What was that? What was that all? What happened there?
What's that about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that record of yours, what's that about? We
Dude, we're getting better at this.
no, I love it. You gotta go with us. So this thing of yours, why?
Dude, tell us about your fucking records, man. Why?
So man, your records, bro. You like it?
Do you like what you do?
Yeah, man.
You're huge, man.
Yeah, man.
You gotta love it.
Good story, bro. It's tight, bro. It's a good story. Oh man.
No, but
Jim,
I
help
mean,
me,
like,
goddammit.
I love it.
yeah, dude. I mean, you've reached this level of people hearing your stuff all over the world. Like, we have to know.
Well, that wasn't the plan. It's like, we were just kind of doing the next thing we thought we should be doing, which didn't feel all that different. Basically, leading up to Bleed American, we'd been writing songs like we always had, mostly like jamming, either doing crappy 4-track stuff or like boombox. Or at some point we graduated to like a DA38, which is like the mini DV version of an ADAT.
Yeah.
Like video camcorder film, like digital stuff, but you could record multi-track on it up to like 8 tracks at a time. So we got a little bit more advanced with our our home recording setup, and so we would demo with that. And about that time, we were on tour a lot, and things kind of felt like they were making progress. Like we would have more people at our shows the next time we come to town, or we would get a better support slot opening up for friends of ours who might be bigger. So it was this constant thing. We were saving up money from that. Like we basically took all the money that we were making on the road and kind of banked it to cut our own like real record.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate enough that the producer we wanted to work with, Mark Tremonti, would basically like waived his fee until we got it sorted out and sold it to whoever we were gonna sell it to.
Which is cool.
Yeah, and because we were paying for it ourselves.
Because he knew.
We made the. Well, he didn't. No one knew, but he was.
I'd bank on it.
He had confidence. We cut the drums at Cherokee in LA, and then we did everything else at a studio called Hard Drive, or at the time I think it was called Messengers. It was like this because that's kind of what we did. We would record drums. That's kind of still what we do. We record drums in a room that has, that's kind of where you spend your money, because that's the thing that has the most inputs at one time.
It's the start. It's the start of everything.
If that sucks, your record sucks. So it's got to be good. So we book a place that has a decent room that will sound great for drums, and it has the most inputs at one time. Like there's a microphone or a couple microphones on every single piece of the kit, plus room mics
over here and over there, like in the room. Yeah.
You can get really. I mean, depending on what kind of sound you want for the song, what sort of vibe you're going for, you could get really creative with like mic positions in the room and try to capture different ways. So that's where you spend your money, and then you go to a place that is a little bit maybe less expensive, that you can do
guitars.
Time. You can sink your time in there with like cutting the guitars and vocals and bells and whistles and any sort of wacky production things you want to try. Because really, for that stuff, for our type of band, our type of music, like you don't need any more than like 5 inputs at one time. So it doesn't make sense to be spending a ton of money on a place with like a 100-channel desk when you're just using 5 at a time, and things are coming out of the box, and it's.
I have a question for you, and I'm going to get guitar nerdy with you. You were a Les Paul guy, and now you are a Tele guy.
Yes.
And
what's up with that?
Hold on, and before you answer, I gotta tell you, on the Steve Aoki episode of your podcast, you do in the very beginning, you're doing an ad for the Tele for Fender. It was so good. You're like, they didn't give me anything to say here, and go ahead and plug it in or whatever. Yeah. And I was like, yes, dude.
My on the fly campaign pitch.
That was my favorite.
That's sort of one of the things that you amuse yourself with on the road, is like driving by cities and thinking of fake revitalization campaign pitches for the city council and stuff like that. So
those are the things you think about.
Yeah, it's like, I wonder what the revitalization campaign for downtown in Toledo would go like. I wonder what that pitch meeting is like at the city council. Just thinking of like dumb things like.
It was so good.
No one's telling you what to do. I always and like making like rogue commercials. Yeah. Sometimes I think it'd be funny to make rogue commercials for stuff like McDonald's. Stuff that doesn't need anybody making commercials for you.
100%.
Like going all in, like drink Coke.
Yeah.
And like,
have you heard of this new product?
Oh my gosh, McDonald's. Can you believe it?
So you kind of have like a good time with that.
Yeah.
Because you're like, this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I kind of like the one where I went off on like nihilism.
Yeah.
I had to cut out my favorite punchline for that. Like, play Fender because we all die.
Why would you cut that?
it's on now.
Fender didn't like that. It's on now. We got you, brother.
There's a global
got you.
pandemic with people dying right now. It's a little too dark.
All right.
Yeah, but let's
mean-
fucking not forget that we're human beings.
If you can't laugh at,
And there's humor in that.
I thought it was funny, but it's like,
And it was.
I don't know.
Nope, it was.
Do you go through like? Are you not? I want to save the podcast questions for another section. So why did you switch to tellies?
Well, when Fender was located here, they had people in bands and things too, and you get to kind of know everybody. And there was a guy who was playing in another band that we liked a lot and hung out with, and he worked at Fender, and he's like, "Dude, you should try this guitar. I think you'd like it." And it was it was a model called the TC90, I think. It was basically like a double cutaway, like a strap body, but it was a double cutaway. It had a glue-on neck and had P90s in it. And it was kind of close to what my model is like. And I was like, well, this is pretty cool, man. It like never played a glue-on neck Fender before.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, it'd be cool. It's like, can you make? Is it possible to do like separate volume and tone knobs? I was like, yeah, we could do that. Is it possible to do like, could you put like the toggle switch up at the horn instead of down here where it normally is in a Telecaster? It's like, dude, why don't we just do like a custom guitar?
Yep.
And I was like, cool. And so, we kind of worked on it, went back and forth on it. It became the Gibson, because I was playing Les Pauls for a while.
Right. Yeah.
So it's the Gibson scale neck. It's like shorter than what a Fender would be. And, glue on neck, P90s. Because those were the elements of the other model I thought were like, oh, this is cool. It was chambered at the top third, not a Telesonic. What's like the
Jag?
No, what are the tellies that are chambered and there's like a name for them? I don't know.
Wish I knew the answer.
So I guess it's not that important, but so it's basically like a Les Paul hybrid with a Telecaster.
Oh, okay.
And it was different from what they had in production. So they're from anything else they had in production. And I wanted to make sure that the cost of it would be kind of reasonable, because I always thought that the things that make guitars expensive aren't necessarily the things that make guitars
great,
dependable,
right,
or reliable,
right,
or good.
100%.
Like you can load it up with stuff that doesn't matter that it's going to be a $3,000 guitar.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be. It's a piece of wood.
Right.
It's not going to be any different.
Oh, look at this little guy.
How is this guy? Hi.
Oh, that is the cutest thing ever.
Good night.
Richard, I'm usually security,
Aw.
but I couldn't be security for you.
Yeah, man.
Like, he's got a pass.
He's got to pass.
Bye.
Spider-Man just crashed it.
Dude.
That was podcast gold.
Oh,
No.
my God.
Aw.
Cutest guy ever.
That was my friend.
No.
I didn't just find him like last week.
That was my friend's
We do
son.
that. We do that every week. There's a different kid who comes in.
And they go, I love you.
Yeah. I just wanted to say good night.
Just for some sympathy listeners.
Aw.
Yeah. No, I actually him right out of my.
So, if you don't mind, real quick, before you move on, because I know you got some things.
Yeah.
Amp, go. Just real quick.
What do you think about that?
I'm not the Chinese trying to steal your
Amp.
thing.
How about that?
Amp, how about that?
Dude, we're so good at this.
I'm gonna be so like, I'm kind of out of it right now. So it's Amp, bro. What's that about?
Just want to know, man. It's like you're telling hollow bodies all day.
Yo, this Amp thing, man. What's up with that?
I don't know. I have a JCM 900, right? And not a lot of people play those. But I've got this one
that's
and
cool.
it fucking rips.
Yeah.
It's funny how those it's just especially like
Stock,
older ones.
Yeah.
It's really just a guide on how it sounds, like what you think it might sound. It'll be close, but it won't. You get two models that are and put them next to each other. They're not going to sound the same.
100%.
They are not going to.
You
sound
are
the
so
same.
right about that.
Especially anything from like
Marshall,
like 80 and older. because
yeah.
somebody's kind of come in and say, "Oh man, you know what you really got to do with this amp is like you got to
Hot rod
this,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, you want to
Throw in
really
the 6L6s and do
Yeah.
all your thing. Yeah,
I'm
sure.
gonna make it so you can run these other kind of tubes and it's gonna be great. And then
Yeah.
no, dog, you got to take these tubes out. You got to like it's been changed.
Oh, it's a moving target.
Yeah, so it's
sure.
not gonna sound the same, but it's it's a unique piece.
That's all I wanted. I just wanted to talk shop with Jim just for a second.
JCM 900. How's that different from an 800? Is it like more kind of like quote unquote modern saturation sort of vibe, or is it?
It's like
Because that must be like what, like a
Channel,
92,
distortion channel.
90s, 94.
yeah, like 94. Yeah. Really, the cleans are the same, and you can dial in a good clean, but the distortion, the built-in distortion, is just unreal.
Does it have a master volume, or is it just you got to turn it up?
It's got
Volume 1, volume 2, turn it up.
Yeah.
Scare people.
so you can get the poopy clean, and then the scare
Yeah.
people scary
Yeah.
distortion. Yeah.
When I played Marshalls, I had to do I have a God, what is it? The 2205, I think, the JMP MK2 head. Or maybe 2250, it's 2209. I think it's called. I don't know. But yeah, it was just so ridiculous. Like you could not play in someone's like at most of the gigs we were playing like in this room with a drum set and a SVT
Right.
bass refrigerator cabinet bass setup, and you know you just kill people like so you cannot crank it. Like the only time it makes sense
Right.
to
You need a hot
open-
plate.
The only time it makes sense to open it up is when you're actually recording.
And
Otherwise-
let it warm up for half the day.
Yeah, because you're gonna be killing people, and if you're in a club, like you're gonna the sound person
Hey
is gonna
Jim,
be like,
can you turn your amp down?
I know. And it's such a bummer.
You're like, yeah, I'll sure go do that. And then you're
Yeah.
like,
Okay, turned it down.
yep.
Do you do the digital amps now, or the Axe-Fx or Kempers or anything
Yeah,
like that?
I don't use amps anymore. I use Axe-Fx.
That's the jam.
Yeah, it's gonna jam. Well, we use real stuff recording sometimes. Oh, yeah, it just depends. Like I've gotten pretty deep in Axe-Fx that sometimes like the sound I want to hear isn't an amp. It's that. Sometimes the sound I want to hear is an amp, like a specific thing I want to try.
And it sounds awesome.
In the background, you
It's-
have an orange. On your podcast, there's an orange sitting back there.
Tom, our other guitar player, played orange, and I played Marshalls. And then I switched to. He always played orange, and then at one point I switched to Vox.
When
played
I
AC30s.
saw
I
you
love
guys at Martini Ranch, you were rocking
Oh, yeah.
the Vox.
Yeah, that would have been my Vox time.
Yep. That was awesome. Sounded
then-
so good.
2 records ago, we switched to the Fractal Audio stuff.
I don't even know what that is. What is
I don't
it?
either.
It's
It's make believe.
it's wizardry.
It's wizard.
It's a computer, Richard.
Yes, it's software.
Sorry.
It's like a 2. I think it was a 2. Now it's like a 3 or 4 space rack unit that is everything.
I'm sorry.
It just doesn't come out of a speaker.
Are more of my children
I
here?
think Ella's wanting to say goodnight.
Oh yeah.
She went away.
This is
Aw.
Well, you're usually starting the podcast at 10, so you're already had said goodnight to your kids, and then you come, right? Like,
Well, Jim's a family man, so he understands.
Of course.
But I was trying to learn about what the hell this goddamn thing is.
Because we actually played with you once before at an Edge Fest, and we were the first band at 2 p.m.
So I wouldn't
Someone's gotta
really say
do
we
it.
played with
Yeah,
you.
we just played on the same stage
Someone's got to do it, man.
with plenty of space in between our playing. But I remember you and Jack. I know your kids. It's weird. So let me just throwing the football backstage.
Yeah.
That's what you were doing. You were chilling with your kids throwing the football.
Yeah, it happens.
And we were like 23 trying to figure out how we were going to do this at 2 p.m. Like, all right, this is our gig. This is the shit. Yeah. It's wild.
You're a family man.
You're
That's where that came from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's just do this because we got some really good listener participation. We put out a little video. I hope you didn't see it, but it was basically to promote the episode, and I just wanted to see if anybody would submit some questions.
Okay.
And we got some questions.
We did, dude.
We got some submissions.
I got some questions.
They came in quick.
I have a whole lot of questions about you
they
guys.
They flooded.
Did you say you have a lot of questions about us?
I ask after this interview, I have a whole lot of questions.
Yeah.
We have answers.
Bring the questions. Bring it.
Okay, you ready? Question number 1. This one's from Tom Golden. Yo. They were one of my favorite bands growing up, and I watch his podcast religiously. Can you ask him what he does for vocal warm-ups?
Yeah, I mean, before gigs, I do vocal warm-ups. Before recording, I do vocal warm-ups. Anytime I have to like actually sing and I want it to be good, I do vocal warm-ups.
Do you go la 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 la?
It's basically things to get. The idea is to kind of get the how do I describe it? Get like the voice basically like placed in the right way, like where things kind of where the muscle memory kind of wants to go. Because the thing is, like, it shouldn't be this crazy thing you're forcing. It should just kind of, if it's working the way I want it to work, it's basically like where the air needs to go,
right,
to make the sound I want to make. It's really,
So
it sounds ridiculous.
it's a little bit of sound, but a lot more physical.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be, because if you're really like pushing it,
you blow it.
it's not gonna be sustainable. Like
Right.
the idea thing is to have like the least amount of energy to get it to do what you want. And you know, there's just certain things you need to do. It's hard to, I can't explain it
You just did.
in a,
You
But
did just explain it.
No.
Yeah.
So here so this dude Jeremy Pennick, he was the singer of this band called Depspaw. Anyways, he's an incredible singer. He used to teach me a lot of like vocal stuff because I still am. Well, I'm not even a singer anymore, but back in the day, it's just a very aggressive sort of pushing it, like you were saying. It shouldn't be, and it was aggressive. Like every night was a very aggressive thing for me. And so he was teaching me a few things. One of the things he taught me was to crush up 2 Viagras in my vocal spray and throw it and spray it directly on, like, inhale and coat the vocal cords, and that the Viagra would then bring blood to the actual vocal cords. Have you heard of that?
how many gigs a week were you playing eating 2 Viagra?
No.
Viagra Falls.
I mean,
So
I'm sure,
so it was.
what was your stage attire like then? Some like kind of,
that of a Rob Halford.
yeah, codpiece.
No, so it was a spray that would last me, 2 or 3 months, and I would crush up the pills,
Okay.
and then I would mix it into the spray, and then I would use it.
Viagra.
Yeah, because it was supposed to bring
not-
blood to the source.
Like teas and sprays and stuff, that's like, yeah, it feels kind of good, but nothing's going to be the same as like having the mechanics right. It's like icy hot feels good and its relief, but it's not a substitute
Fix.
for like technique.
Right.
It's like if you're playing drums or something. Drums is a pretty gnarly thing. Like you do it enough times out of like a good technique,
Right.
like hunched over and like doing this and like burying the kick and you're gonna develop problems. So it's
Right.
like you can put icy hot on it, but it's not gonna be the same thing as like having posture and playing with your wrists and sustainable things like like pitching in baseball or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, like there's
So
a
like
way.
Viagra and steroids are not.
So no, I mean it'll buy you a little bit of relief and it might
Right.
feel good, but if you start relying on it, then you're gonna hurt yourself. It's gonna put you further away. I've never heard about that.
it's kind of a
I
wild.
liked it.
it's
I
kind-
liked it.
and it worked.
I always felt pretty good after I had a couple
Yeah.
of spritzes, you know, but not in my underpants.
Yeah,
Just I felt like
sprayed
I,
on everything a little.
I felt like I did improve my singing. I don't know. But I think your analogy is absolutely correct.
People get really attached to that sort of thing. Like I got to have this before I go on because this is what I need.
Right.
And that this might not have a whole lot, placebo effect kind of thing.
Right. Mental.
Next question.
Question 5.
Well done on that one.
Thanks.
I don't know if I don't think I want to ask that one yet.
Okay.
No.
Next question. This one's long. You ready?
Yeah, bring it.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a fan.
Like defensive. Yeah, I'm a fan.
I just like that.
Like,
Totally did.
if you're a real fan, send us a question. Yeah, I'm.
If you're
I'm
a real fan,
I'm a
you
real
say,
fan.
yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Like a cop.
So Jeremy says, I became a bigger fan once I learned they're AZ natives. If it was me, I would ask him about staying power. Jimmy Eat World has been around for the span of time in which many bands have come and gone. I wonder about what keeps Jim Adkins specifically and the band collectively inspired to continue making and performing music. In an industry notorious for flashes in the pan, what is Jimmy Eat World's secret to keeping on keeping on?
That's a really good question.
And I...
Viagra spray.
Next question. No. So what's the deal with that
You
question?
want to keep going? No, just keeping things fun. Keeping things fun and just respect for the process.
Yeah.
You know, like people get into so many bands break up because of dumb stuff. And of course things are going to get heated. Of course you're going to be fighting for your way that you see a creative thing going. You just got to remember that everyone's fighting for the same thing. You know, everyone wants the thing to be as successful as it can be. And that's a good thing. I mean, would you really want to be in a group of other people who are like, yeah, you know, like, here's my idea, man. I think we should do this.
I was going to say this.
No, we want people
Yeah.
who are like going to bring things to it and maybe challenge you and push you and end up taking things to a new place that no one really had thought of before.
I was going to say this earlier when we were talking about you playing live and you say keeping things fun. When you guys play live, you guys are having fucking fun, dude. Like, you can tell. You guys are having a good fucking time.
Well, you got to remember that. Like, there's so much.
You guys really throw down live, and it looks like you're having the best time ever.
One thing that helps is that you can get so just stuck on your own
Shit.
Yeah. Like, you got to let that go, man. You got to really kind of make a intentional effort to let go of whatever kind of day you're having, whatever expectations you have for the show itself. If it's been a you know, a hard day or boring day, or even if you were really stoked on the show itself and you're expecting a lot out of it, you got to wipe that clean and go up with nothing. And then, I mean, it's kind of harder to do than it is to say it. But I mean, especially if you're having a
because
good
it's
day,
weird because you're saying, like, keep your expectations low.
keep your expectations at none, not low. No,
And then
don't set the bar low. Just say
Zero.
Like, I have no idea.
Yeah, because low is worse than zero.
Yeah, I mean, and you can't set it high either.
Right, because
it's
then
only gonna go down.
you'll, as an artist, fail yourself every time.
Well, it's just you've kind of boxed it. Basically, you've boxed it in to be a certain way, and you're not going to get as much out of it if you've already decided what it's going to be.
You just go out there and do it.
Yeah, you go out there and do it, and sort of let the experience tell you what it's going to be, and that kind of makes it maybe a song that you've played 30 times already on that tour.
Course.
It gives it a shot to be something. It gives it a shot to be current for that unique performance, because it's, whatever's going to happen during that is now like that. It's not what you're bringing to it. It's what happens while you're doing it, and that helps it to be, just a unique connection with what you're
shit.
doing
Yeah,
and the people that are there.
Keeps it fresh, keeps it like exciting, right?
Yeah.
But like you guys are just fucking good. That's another thing. Do you know what I mean?
Thanks. Yeah.
Like, and I don't know how does a band write like the record of their career and then their albums get progressively shittier after that? You guys have had a career where the records have been good. Every single record's good.
You have to trump your last one, right?
And I know that your guys' writing process has changed over the years too, right? I mean, you guys used to jam like the first few records, and then now what's a jam session for you guys? I mean, every time you guys jam, are you on Pro Tools? What are you doing?
Yeah, how we have things set up right now is everything is going into as a multi-track into Pro Tools, and then from Pro Tools it feeds out to everyone's kind of monitoring headphone mix.
Oh,
so basically, like we're when we rehearse, it's basically like you're recording in the studio.
nice.
So I mean, we don't record all the time, but hey, let's record this. We can,
Right.
Which is this.
Yeah.
Just
hit the
just
button.
this. Yeah.
No.
And it's recording.
Times have changed.
Well, I mean, so with this time right now, do you guys have an album ready to go?
No.
That's
No.
awesome.
Material.
Yeah. Well, you never. I mean, nothing. I would say. It's hard to say how much material we have, because, a song can happen in an hour or it can happen in 8 years.
Yeah, or exactly.
It's just, and it's really hard to, until it's done, you don't have anything. You have ideas.
Right.
But it can go from an idea to done.
Quick.
Like, yeah, there's no rules to how that gets completed.
Right.
So we could have an album in like a month. We could have an album next year. I don't know.
Is it all? Do you have a studio in your home?
No.
So you have a separate space, and
Yeah,
then you
the-
guys all converge.
Yeah, we have like the band space is really the only space now.
I love that.
There's something to be said for going away to work. I don't know. I go back and forth on it. Like sometimes I wish I had like a spot just in my house, but then it wouldn't feel like
Work.
It wouldn't feel like I'm going to work.
Yeah.
Right. But you have a guitar in your house, so there's
Oh
that.
yeah. There's always
And so-
something for like
and
a scratch.
You have a guitar in a bedroom, so you can do that. But
Yeah.
then the gear is at.
Yeah, if I want to do
band
if I,
space.
Yeah, if I want
Right.
to do anything that's more like.
But sometimes you're
fleshed
like, oh
out.
shit, I just need to hit record right now.
Yeah, all the time. I mean, I have a
'Cause you
guitar.
get that all the
I
time.
have a guitar and voice memos. You're basically, you
Yeah,
know,
right.
that's the majority of where things start.
Right.
Flash round.
Which is cool because
Flash
when
round.
you guys started, that wasn't a thing.
It was similar though. It was just like the cassette boombox that had a microphone on it. You could record.
Right. Talk Boy.
Yeah.
I have a story about the Talk Boy, but we'll save it. Daniel Watkins wants to know favorite place to play locally.
Yeah. Crescent Ballroom is pretty fun. I like that. It's a good vibe there.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
good sound too.
I've seen a lot of cool
Yeah, I
fucking
love it.
shows there, man.
I want to play at Van Buren. We haven't played there yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that needs to happen ASAP.
Well,
Really good PA.
Yeah.
pandemic is happening.
Yeah. Playing live. What's that?
And the cats that work there, cool, man. They're that shit. All right. Yep. Soon. When's this over? Tomorrow? The pandemic's over tomorrow?
Where's your favorite place to
Jimmy's
play?
playing there.
Probably bringing me down with where I want to play, man.
I got to see the Modified Arts. That was cool.
Yeah, Modified was always a good room. It was surprisingly really fun to play that stage there.
I had heard that you guys were playing, and I like got in line. There was
Oh, yeah.
a really long line.
When they shut down, like before they shut down. Yeah.
And
We'd never.
Psycho Steve hooked me up.
Oh,
The
that's cool.
Modified
Yeah.
is tiny, dude.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
We had never played there, and they were closing their music side of it down. We're like, oh, let's play it Modified.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I don't think that microphone was on,
Oh, okay.
but
We could hear you,
we
though.
still
I
hear
think. Yeah.
I wanted to ask this question because it means kind of a lot to me, and I value your opinion on this. Can you ask him his favorite things about being sober are?
Besides not waking up hungover,
That's a big one, right?
it's gigantic.
Yeah.
It's like so rad.
It's been a beautiful thing because I'm also in recovery. So that's one thing that I can always, when people are like, man, I can't believe you do that. I'm like, I haven't had a hangover in over 4 years. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah, no, it's great seeing people people kind of crawling out of bunks on the bus when we're
Yeah.
on tour, and like just looking haggard. I'm like, oh man, I just got back from running.
yeah.
This is I don't miss that at all.
So how long have you been in recovery?
7 years.
7 years?
Yeah.
Congrats, bro. So what would you say is like one of the, other than
Oh, I mean, basically just like the tools for living life. Mm-hmm. Really dumb kind of things that I don't think people. It sounds dumb when you say them out loud, but I think if you've never actually stopped to consider them and what your life looks like with them, it's revelatory.
Yeah, a lot of the things you were saying about how like you sort of work with the band and like keeping the longevity and all that stuff, it was a lot of recovery sounding stuff to me. Like being able to just
everything basically now I experience basically gets filtered through the lens of recovery. There's nothing that happens that isn't
me too.
Instantly ran through the process of how to process it.
So I think the question is kind of funny. It's like, what's the best thing in recovery? It's like, just learning how to have an awesome life. I think that's like, that's a pretty cool thing.
I think it's just like maybe and being able to have agency over things being intentional, and determining what things are. By that I mean like thoughts aren't up to you.
Right.
They're gonna happen. You're gonna get cut off in traffic and feel angry, or things like jealousy or anger or attraction or like all these things are just gonna kind of pop up, and you don't have any power over them. But if you're in the habit of identifying those, then you have some agency over what you do with them.
Right.
And having having like basically a plan in place for what to do with all of them before you have them is kind of like, it's a pretty empowering thing to feel.
Yeah.
Because like, I think it, and everyone sort of struggles with that.
Right.
Like you don't really, it's like you're not awake. You're just kind of a passenger in your life.
Right.
But for people in recovery, it's sort of like you have to you have to not be a passenger in your life or you're going to die. If you just go with where the train's heading, it's not a good place.
Right.
So, I mean, everybody could benefit from a little bit of that, but for some other people, it's not. It's a life and death kind of thing.
Right. Yeah, I love that because you're right. Feelings, emotions, thoughts, all those things are coming in. And my biggest problem was, what do I do with it at that point? And I was very much an act on all of it immediately.
Yeah.
I could not process anything. I mean, you get the drugs and the alcohol involved anyways, you're already sort of unable to register anything or have any, the ability to stop yourself from doing something. But even when I was like not loaded, all those problems were there. And it was one of the most relieving things to get into recovery and understand that like the things that I'm learning, because like the drugs and I was a heroin addict. And so you take those things away and now life is still here.
Yeah.
And so I needed to learn how to like live life.
Yeah. It's sort of like a lot of your energy is based on just the wrong targets.
Right.
And you don't realize that until you kind of do some of the actual work to figure out what's solution-minded thinking. Like what's really, do I want to be right here? Or do I want a real solution to this? You know, like when keeping it real goes wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm keeping it real. Like, and dude ends up in jail. Like,
Exactly.
it's basically like that. Do you want to keep it real, dude, or do you want to keep your girlfriend and your job and your freedom? Like, I mean, by all means, go ahead, but like, it's not really a solution for anything.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because I know that every once in a while I talk about recovery and people appreciate it quite a bit. Because I think a lot of those things are lingering in people and they don't really know how to handle it or deal with it. They know somebody close to them. Because anyone who listens to our show is somebody that pretty much knows us.
And it's really good to get different people's opinion on it and how they deal with it.
And I love that that people are open with it now. That it's not as a stigmatized thing.
It's really, I mean,
For sure.
For me, it's not it's like, I'm an alcoholic. Like it's, it's like not, it doesn't, it's like, that's this, it's like it's just a thing. But some people are like, oh, it's so brave you talk about that. Like, and I know it's if you're on the other side of that and you have any sort of doubts about your own personal condition, it's really hard to talk about it. But like on the other side of it, it's like, what was I ever really afraid of? Because this is better.
Yeah.
Like I feel good about it. Like it's fine.
For
But I
sure.
forget sometimes that like, it's been long enough now that I forget that on the other, when you're at the bottom looking up at that, it looks really high. It looks really high.
You know what it was for me is that I didn't like talking about it for a long time because if I talked about it, then that meant that, first of all, I was saying that, I am an addict.
Like admitting failure of some kind.
And then I have to like address it at that point.
Yeah, because if you say it and then you have to do something about it.
Exactly.
You can't not do something about it then.
And then if you start to get a little bit of time too, then people start to get excited for you and like, oh wow, you're doing so great. And then I was like, well, if I get time, I'm gonna break hearts. Even I didn't want to say it out loud because the second I start telling people, now they're gonna hold me accountable to it. And I wasn't ready to do that. But then once I was all in, man, talking about it is the best thing, especially in the beginning. For me, it was the most therapeutic thing for me to do is be able to sort of explain my thought process, work through things and shit like that.
Yeah. Heroin was never a thing for me. I got lucky.
Oh, you did. You really did. Alcohol, obviously, could take you down just as deep, but...
Really? I mean, it's rare for the people I roll around with. Like, it's rare that it's, like, just drinking.
Yeah.
Like...
Of course.
It's always it's mostly, like, whatever.
Yeah.
whatever there was, I was doing it. Like it's not. It's rare that it's just one kind of thing.
Like I brought white wine and just white wine.
Yeah, for me it was all. I was just all Franzia.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
my,
that's-
I stayed away from. It was like not, heroin, coke, pills. Nah, Franzia.
Yeah,
Franzia, my favorite. Yeah.
your shit.
Yeah, just box wine. Like I'd come with 2 boxes of it. What's up, guys? Friday.
We, oh man, we used to do that too, man.
Yeah. All right. He's a cool dude. Ask him about PB and J on a burger. LOL via Sean Watson.
Oh yeah, man. It's like what's that food truck? There was some, I can't remember the name of the food truck, but it was a. God, I think I remember. There was an outside show at Crescent Ballroom.
And I think Brian Watson was part of that food truck thing.
Maybe. And I remember
Which
hanging
is
out with
Sean's
Sean.
bro.
Yeah, I remember hanging
Yeah.
out with him, and like the food truck had one burger. It was PB and J and sriracha.
And that
And I
was
was
your
like-
shit.
I was like, that sounds insane. I'm gonna try it.
Let's
Yeah.
do it.
And it was surprisingly like it sort of worked.
Okay.
But yeah, it surprisingly worked, but it sounds weird.
Was this just a one-time thing that he happened to be there for, and that's why this question got submitted, or was this like your thing?
It's not a thing. I don't know. I don't think I've ever had it besides that one time at the food truck.
Of course, yeah. I saw Kevin the other day. He's like, make sure you ask him about that thing.
Yeah.
But it is weird enough that I think it would stick out.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
I can't remember if he got one too.
PB&J
maybe I was
burger
like, dude, you gotta
thing,
try this
yeah.
thing, man. It's like, I don't know.
I've heard of peanut butter. I can't remember what they call it. There is a name for when you put peanut butter on a burger. I've heard that one.
It was like peanut butter, jelly, sriracha, and probably bacon too. It was like all
It's
out
like
nuts.
peanut butter and jelly on a burger is nutty enough on its own, and then it's like Jim's eating one. It's like, oh,
It's the whole. It's the whole thing.
you better ask him about it. Yeah.
Bacon. Hard-hitting shit. The best Bertos in the valley.
The best Birdos.
Do you do Bertos? Any of them?
It's been years. It's been about 7 years since.
You have done a burger. Yeah.
When was the last time when was the last 2 a.m. I saw?
Your last
7 years ago, probably.
Bertos. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's few.
I don't know. I mean, well, there's you got to go with the classic one on Main Street in Mesa. That's the Birdos.
oh, is it
Like
just Bertos?
Filibertos?
No,
Or
it's
just-
Filibertos.
Oh, it's Filibertos.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
I've-
several of those.
I used to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that one.
I've had
Main
that.
Street and like Mesa Drive, I think, is
Yeah.
the Filibertos there.
So that's the one that you would frequent.
That's the one I'd find
That's
myself
your
at.
answer.
That's my answer. You asked for an answer, I gave you one.
Okay. Let's see. Ask him about how supportive or not his parents were in his path to becoming a musician.
Oh, they're very supportive.
Your dad was a guitar player.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
There was never a point.
there was a little bit of trepidation when I was telling them that my plan was to drop out of college and go on tour.
Right.
But, it was just like,
But you were taking music in college. So it was
Yeah.
like, this day's going to come.
here's the and it was also Capitol Records wanted to put out a record for us, so
Yeah.
it wasn't entirely like there was no
It wasn't like
it was
a-
entirely like a
Right.
super they just wanted your like
Well, there
every
was some
parent
light
does.
at the end of the tunnel.
Maybe I
for
mean
them. Maybe.
I don't know, they still know how it was kind of sketchy. I guess
Well,
they
yeah,
figured
I
that
mean, the music industry is a fickle bitch.
yeah, I guess they just kind of figured, yeah, sure. I mean, he's still like pretty young. He can always go back to school if this thing doesn't go anywhere. But
Yeah, and you guys, I mean, were still very young when you.
yeah, that's the thing too. That happened. That
Parent support is huge.
You got to talk into that mic, baby.
Sorry.
sure.
Parent support's huge.
Okay. Sorry.
I don't know.
Is that your
I have so
answer?
much
I didn't know if that was a statement or if there was a question. I didn't know.
That's his answer.
I'm sorry. I just wanted to make sure Kevin Watson asked that one question. Jimmy Giles asked the Birdos question. Anthony Nguyen wants to know, what's your favorite restaurant in Arizona?
Oh, man. I don't think I have a total favorite restaurant. There's several that are in the top 5, though.
What do you got?
I think Glybon is definitely in the top 5.
Dude, that's across the street from my house.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
What is it?
It's Thai food.
Oh.
Underground
Yeah,
street
it's
Thai
like street food. Yeah, it's one of my top 5.
Well, I'm going to go there soon.
Gallo Blanco is up there too. I like
Ooh.
Gallo Blanco.
Okay.
Harumi downtown sushi is really good.
Harumi?
Harumi. Yeah.
Never been there. Dude,
Where's that?
Let me write these down.
It's on like Central and Monroe, I think, ish. Their whole thing is they use the forbidden rice and everything. There's like this
What's the forbidden rice, bro?
It's like, dude, I can't tell you. No, it's like this purplish black kind of rice, and it's really good.
Okay. Celestron Swanson asks, yes, ask him if he would make an entire synth pop album a la 555. And then he says,
Sure.
Or then he says, or be a fucking coward. I wasn't gonna say.
Are you gonna do this, or are you a coward?
Is that Ryan Cortez?
I challenge you, coward, to make a synth pop album.
So you would?
Sure.
Yeah. You should.
That should be the name of the album.
Yeah.
Jake Screamin' asks, would be cool to know what it felt like or feels like having come out of Arizona. I gotta do it. You know, they're supporting the podcast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What does it feel like coming out of Arizona's rectum?
Where to go with this?
Yeah, it's terrible.
How
What-
to go with this?
Well, I mean, I would say Arizona doesn't have like a large catalog of huge rock stars, right?
Yeah, people. I mean, yeah, I don't think people know a whole lot of bands from here.
Right.
Like when we were touring earlier on, you know, it would be, oh, so you guys are from Arizona, huh? It's like,
over
what's?
there?
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
It'd be like, yeah, there's not a whole lot of, I mean, there's a lot of bands, and there's a lot of bands now that would tour, but has been a kind of a difficult place to like break out of in a larger sense, I think.
Yeah.
There's like a handful of people I could list up. There are probably more, but I mean,
And so, like, when you guys were playing and young and coming up and playing all the local shows, there was a scene. There was a little bit of a scene, like the Tempe scene and all that. Do you think there should have been more bands that came out too?
well, I mean, when we were starting out, I would say there was definitely the Tempe. There was like a couple different things happening as far as I knew. There was like the Tempe thing, which was a little bit older than us, and it was kind of it was sort of on the way. It was sort of dying out on the. I mean, not dying out, but it was thanks. It was sort of like on the tail end of it, like the Gin Blossoms had already had their really big record, and the Refreshments.
Roger Klein, yeah.
The Meat Puppets.
They were Refreshments
Meat
at that
Puppets,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, Meat Puppets were sort of on a different level, though. I wouldn't put them in. Yes, they're part of it all, but I mean, they're sort of they were already like pretty established. Like,
were they?
Yeah,
I
mean,
didn't
like,
They were established before you guys were
even a
doing your thing.
Yeah, they were established. Like, so I put them on a different level. But and then there was like Phoenix things, like with the three guys productions. like the Silver Dollar Club and what it was like. The Silver Dollar Club was like this kind of warehouse vibe venue where the baseball park is now. And so that was kind of a thing.
What, downtown?
Yeah, downtown.
Oh.
And then there was like the East Valley, like straggling wasteland of Mad Max kind of scene.
Yeah.
That was really fragmented. It was not,
which is still a thing.
but that was a thing. That was a vibe where people were just doing things. It was like kids, you know. We couldn't get into any we were not legally allowed to be part of the Tempe scene because that was
Right.
all bars.
Yeah.
So it was just basically like kids putting up gigs wherever they could, and that was a lot of the times it was like, you know, semi-legal art space kind of things
Right.
that would be shut down after 8 months
Yeah.
or less.
Civic Center stages
Yeah.
that are concrete slabs and
Yeah, like plywood on milk crates that would
yes,
slide the entire time.
yeah.
Unfortunately, I want to be respectful of your time because it's already 9:45. So I know I said to get you out of here at 10. We had a lot of questions, but they sort of lead us down these long chunks. I have you here, and so I need to ask you some of these things. So
Ask me the things.
I'm so into podcasts. Like, I love podcasts. I was driving for a large food distribution company, so
Oh, okay.
I'm just podcast all day, 12 hours a day,
Yeah.
right? So I got super into it. I wanted to do a podcast. I started one, and then when I knew you were coming on the show, first of all, when I found out you were coming on the show, I was really nervous. And I was like, "Oh shit, that's a little crazy." And then I probably have watched 6,000 videos with you in it, and I've listened to all your podcasts.
Oh, wow, cool.
So I feel more connected, and when you walked in the door, I was like, I didn't feel that pressure. I felt like I already sort of knew you, which was a sort of a strange feeling. Pandemic, and your podcast comes out like right around the same time. Are
Yeah.
those things commingling? Is it sort of a way to sort of keep you afloat monetarily? It's bad. I mean, you had Mark Hoppus from Blink-182. You had let's see, Steve Aoki. That one was glorious. Gerard Way, William Ryan Key, and then you have 18 episodes out now. The last one
Yeah.
with Ken Andrews from Failure, which was so awesome to hear you guys go back and forth. Why?
It's just something I was fascinated with.
Yeah.
You know, like when you get together with other musicians, you usually end up talking about, you know, two things, like, how'd you do that cool thing that's cool? And then, you know, I'm stuck on this. How'd you get past this? Like, those are,
You guys
know.
get to talk shop a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And everyone approaches it in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of, there was no school of rock when we were growing up. It was basically like there was no one telling you what's right or what you should be doing. You just figured it out, and everybody picked it up and picked up things that work for them in their own ways. And, you know, I'm just fascinated by that.
Do you do
All of a sudden we all had a whole lot of time on our hands.
right?
So I could get people, I had time to do it, and everybody else was sitting around available.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Dude.
"Hey, dude, what are you doing? Nothing. You want to do my?
You want to chat for a minute?
I got this wacky idea. All right.
Yeah. So do you?
And that's everybody. So like,
Yeah.
I got guests that, you know, all these people I know
Yeah.
in some way, or, you know,
I thought it was cool you played in Steve's kitchen. That was a really cool.
yeah,
thing.
that was like literally like a thing like this.
right.
It was like a punk house, a co-op punk house in Goleta, and you know,
He was throwing
yeah.
show. I didn't even know, because I only know him as a DJ, so I didn't know he was like a person who would throw shows or
yeah,
And he would just have people over, and you'd just play in his kitchen.
yeah. And then we'd load out, and then I'd sleep in the kitchen.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's the best. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Whenever we would go play like up north or whatever, we just crash on somebody's couch or whatever.
In Goleta.
Oh, yeah.
Did
I
we?
mean, that's where
Yeah,
that's where
Dave-
Jake and
Dave
yeah, that's where they lived.
in Santa
Yeah.
Barbara, right? Santa
Yeah.
Barbara, I believe?
I would get nothing done if I went to school there.
Yeah,
God,
we-
I would
Oh
sit
yeah,
on my
Isla
porch.
Vista shit is just fucking unreal.
Free birds.
This is great.
Yeah. So do you produce the podcast yourself? Do you edit it yourself? I mean, obviously, it
Yeah.
seems like it's just you
Yeah, it's just me.
and you're just, do you edit?
Yeah.
Huh. How did you learn? Just,
I bought Final Cut and I started.
He jumped in the pool and learned how to swim.
Yeah, basically.
that's awesome. Cause I just quit my job and I'm trying to do this kind of thing full time. I want to do a podcast and do a kids channel on YouTube and shit. And I'm trying to learn how to edit and, I love the way that your podcast looks online, like on the YouTube. It sounds fucking so good. Like
Oh,
it's
thanks.
just-
And your
you're-
space is dope, dude.
Here's the
Yeah,
thing.
it's a good video. It's a good
Dude,
backdrop.
I'm like listening to you, but I'm also looking in the background like, oh, there's the guitar.
Yeah, I
the
think-
piano action.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that where Jim's just coming up with the next best thing? That is awesome. I can't wait to hear a song.
You know
When's
what
the next song coming out, brother?
Well, hold on.
I don't know.
The one thing I noticed was like the sound quality of your podcast is so good, and you guys are doing it obviously via Zoom or whatever. And like all the other big podcasts, those Zoom conversations sound like shit. Is the reason why it sounds so good is because there's one guy who knows his shit on this side, and then another guy who knows his shit on this side.
Sometimes it's varying levels of quality that I get from my guests' submissions. A lot of times it's just the iPad or phone audio
Right.
with what they're filming, and I'll record the Zoom feed on my side, but I'll also take an audio recording of my computer audio of their side that I'll record on my side.
Got it.
Because sometimes somebody might have like a air conditioning running, so they have like their video that they're recording, but it's useless.
Right.
Like there's, and you can't and Zoom sucks for using, unless you're using just the Zoom and nothing else. It sucks for editing because it records at like 32K or 32,000 samples per second,
Okay.
as opposed to like 44.1 or 48. It's 32.
It's really low quality.
And it's a PAL. It's 25 frames a second, and you can't adjust that. So if you're trying to drop that into like a editing session,
Yeah.
it sucks, and there's always going to be drift. So it's like I've had to use the Zoom and edit that in as a last resort, but it takes like hours longer than it should.
Does it keep you?
There might be some way that you can change that.
There's a program called Pluralize that will correct audio drift in post.
Not like this.
Yeah, it doesn't work on.
No,
ours
it
either,
doesn't work
so-
like if you're because and that drove me out of my mind, because like if you can stretch the audio, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to keep the audio and stretch the video to match the audio, because I don't want it to compress and that's tricky, because then you end up dropping frames or adding frames, and you don't have a choice over that really. It's just gonna make that decision for you, and it looks crappy. So
So it keeps you
there's
busy.
there's
right?
a learning curve to it.
Yeah.
But you just got to jump in and start doing it.
Right.
And give yourself be prepared to throw away the first 5 things that you edit that you like, because they're actually not going to be that good. So you need time. You need time to suck.
My kids think it's good.
Time to suck.
That's
you have
good.
to
Well,
embrace
you don't
the
have to
suck,
put it on
right?
YouTube though. You can play it for your kids. You don't have to actually show anyone else.
Put it out.
do?
Richard has to put it out all the time.
You need time to suck.
Yeah.
And that's a really unfortunate thing these days, because you don't get time to suck,
Yeah.
because everything is seen by the entire world right away.
all the time.
Yeah.
You need time to suck. That's true.
You have to
Totally.
embrace the suck.
Yeah.
Embrace the suck.
Well,
Bro,
But that's with everything, right,
man,
dude?
I say this with
Isn't
love.
it?
You still suck. It's not. You're
Yeah.
not there yet, man.
I
You're
mean-
sucking now.
Yeah.
But you should embrace it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of.
You know, you look back on this time and think, oh man, I sucked. But but
Hey,
do I still suck?
hey, Jim.
Did I stop sucking yet? Like,
I got a question, Jim.
I don't know where I was going.
So, no, it's perfect.
While you're saying that, it makes me think about the fact that we maybe don't have the best interview skills.
Platform. Yeah.
The platform's great.
The platform's great, but
Yeah,
just
platform's
the outline. Or
Come back in a year. Would you come back in a year?
Yeah, sure.
And
I'll
then,
set an alarm.
yeah, set an alarm, and then I'll send you a link or something, some sort of. I'll send you a calendar event, and we'll do it in another year. And I fucking tell you, dude.
Send me a calendar event, bro. Bro, you hook me up with a calendar event.
Oh, I just wanted to ask you this really quick, because we got 5 minutes left. I needed to know this. Jim, I'm sorry.
Oh, dude, this is great.
You were lying. Are you lying?
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's not great, but it's fun.
Okay.
We're embracing the suck, bro.
I mean, I gotta reserve great for like,
Yeah, Howard Stern,
I don't know, man. Like,
Joe Rogan.
great.
Yeah.
No one gets a great.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep it because I'm gonna keep great because no one gets great.
Okay.
But this is pretty good.
What band?
I like that.
What the fuck? What band do you listen to that you don't want other people to know? That if other people knew you liked it, they would go, "What's Jim doing?"
I don't really have any of those.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean,
Like,
I
oh,
secretly think there's nothing I secretly like.
you don't have a guilty pleasure that you throw on, and you're like,
No, not really.
I wonder if any. Okay.
We walk into Jim's studio, he's just blasting Katy Perry or something.
Yeah, which I love Katy
It's
Perry.
not a guilty
Yeah.
pleasure. Yeah.
My kids used to be really into pop radio.
Run the Jewels, they
never
are
have.
into.
Your kids are into Run the Jewels?
No, they're not. They're not.
Everyone is. I thought everyone was.
Maybe my oldest is, but
Love Run the Jewels.
I do too.
Okay, how about this?
I just figured every kid loved Run the Jewels right now.
I got it. You ready? What's a guy or a band that you don't like that everyone likes? Like for me, it's Bruce Springsteen. I'm not a fan. I think he's. I can respect his musicianship. I think he does these incredible performances. I'm not a Bruce guy, and I get crucified by pretty much everyone I tell that I do not like Bruce Springsteen. Is there a group or a guy or a gal or something out there that everyone loves that you're like,
you know, it took me a while to get into the Beatles.
really?
Yeah, I mean, because like I'm a, you know, this punk rock kid, and here's this thing that everyone's telling me is like the greatest, the Bible,
Right.
the Word of God
Right.
is the Beatles. I'm like, piss off. I'm not. I decide what's good. Like you don't
Right.
tell me what's, you know. So it took me a while for it to come around. Like, oh, this is good, but I didn't. I was just refused to like it for a long time.
Oh, so you dig the Beatles now?
Some of it still. I mean, I like the more
Rocky
earlier kind of more poppy things.
You do like or don't like?
Revolver is good. I like Revolver.
Yeah.
But not like the psychedelic stuff. It kind of I'm
Lost you.
yeah.
So,
Early 60s.
were you more a Stones guy?
No.
Zepp?
You know, I probably listened to more out of those. I probably listened to Led Zeppelin the most.
Yeah.
But it's not. None of that is really the first thing I would reach for.
Huge Beatles fan over here.
It's like, out of my garage. Give me the headphones back. Out of the garage.
So here's a question I wanted to ask you. And this is going into a song of yours. Tommy James and the Shondells. You went for the Crimson and Clover thing.
Oh yeah.
What was that?
I just sent that song to Davey Von Bolen from The Promise Ring, and he just, you know, he just decided to put that in there.
It fucking is awesome. Do you like it?
Yeah. It's grown on me.
So the answer is no.
No, I hate it.
No, it's the perfect, you know,
It's a good little bridge.
I let him do whatever he wanted, and it
Yeah.
ended up being like, I can't imagine it not being there. It was like the perfect thing that he could have done.
Right.
Do you always like the latest record you put out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think everyone's most proud of the thing they just
The
did.
last
They're most
thing they just
excited
did.
about that. Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, that makes
Yeah.
sense. But do you,
Yeah.
I mean, your music obviously matured over, what was it, 25 years?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Damn, dude. And
know,
you're
that's
still so
wild.
young.
Not that young.
Dude, you're young. You're a young buck. All right. That's really it.
Can we milk this guy for anything else?
Like,
Hey.
I love that. Like just the no ramp up anticlimactic.
I just
Oh, that's it.
here's the problem.
Run the thing. That's it.
I wanted to do that to you so bad.
That's great.
I don't know why.
I love that. Like just you should make that a thing. Like you don't know when it's gonna stop,
And then
and it's you're not gonna make a big deal out of it all. You're just gonna kind of casually declare like,
Okay, bye.
guess that's it. I love that.
Profesh.
thank you so much for coming.
No, thanks
Chip.
a lot, man. This is fun. Thanks for
bro.
having me on, you guys.
1 year. I'll send you the calendar invite.
Okay.
All right.
Siri, set an alarm for 1 year from now.
She's
I
like,
can't
I don't
set an
know.
alarm for more than 1 day ahead.
Okay, well, I might need the Cal invite then.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks again. It was an absolute pleasure having you, dude.
Thanks,
Seriously.
Jim.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Appreciate you coming on, brother.
Peace.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We can't believe you stank out. We can't believe you had no doubt. Thank you for tuning in. We will see you again.
Video release, like so that you can release it, or you're just cool with it.
Sometimes, I mean, I'll send everybody a rough cut of it first, and then they like will either give me notes or approve it. And sometimes like that's, I've been kind of going with that as a release.
Oh, okay.
Or I've been making, you know, strangers I make sign a release, but like
Yeah.
people I know.
So
Do you think there's anything we need to cut out of there?
No.
Okay. Yeah.
you were cool with everything?
Yeah, sure.
Richard didn't talk about any baby dicks on this episode, so.
Usually a lot of
Yeah.
baby dicks on there.
No, that's
would
fine.
You, would you sign? This
Yeah.
is basically just like I found it online, and I just put our name on there.
Okay.
You just sign it.
He's not professional, right?
my likeness in any shape or form, in perpetuity.
You know the whole deal.
Yeah.
Thanks.
He's professional.
I will not give my likeness over to be used for any commercial purpose.
What's he-
And